What's up guys, Shawnthebro here, and we're back for another episode of the first-person shooter tutorial series. In today's episode, we're going to be going over setting up a local multiplayer session. As you can see on our main menu, we already set up the game to have campaign and multiplayer. The way I've been thinking about it for this series is that campaign is the single-player experience or the cooperative multiplayer experience, and multiplayer is the competitive multiplayer experience. The multiplayer button doesn't do anything yet, and that's what we're going to be handling today. Specifically, we will be starting out by creating a map that we can load into for our multiplayer. This would be like in an online game where you have different multiplayer maps that you can load into and play. And what we'll need in that is a way to get to that level. That's from pressing our multiplayer button. We'll need to spawn our character, and we'll need to spawn other characters that we can possess from other players. I mentioned that this is local multiplayer today, and that's what it is. However, we can use the same map, the same backend for our online multiplayer. The difference will be how we get those pawns to be possessed by the network instances of the game, and there will be a lot more involved to actually accomplish that goal. However, it really is the same process whether you're doing local multiplayer or online multiplayer. There will be several episodes in setting up local multiplayer in our game, especially as the series progresses and we get more functionality and more things that we want to support in our multiplayer sessions. Before we get started in today's episode, if you want to get caught up in the entire series and see how we've done things like interactable objects, picking up and dropping weapons, throwables, and many other things in our first-person shooter tutorial series, I'll link you to the first-person shooter tutorial series playlist right here in the top right corner so you can check all of that out. Alternatively, if you only care about local multiplayer in your first-person shooter game, you don't have to follow along with the whole series to watch this episode. I recommend watching the episode where we set up our menu flow, as it is good to separate single-player sessions and multiplayer sessions in games where there are different modes for those things. And if you follow along with the main menu episode, you'll have just that. You'll be able to follow along with this episode incredibly easily. With that out of the way, we can go ahead and get started. The first thing that we want to see is our main menu. If we go to first person, blueprints, widgets, menus, I have a widget called main menu. If we go into that widget, you'll see this is what we were on earlier in our game, where we had the campaign button and the multiplayer button. You'll notice that the multiplayer button doesn't have any logic in the event graph. So simply for today's episode, we're just going to add that logic. I'm going to move my on-pressed exit button down here to make a little bit of space for it. And I'm going to go to my multiplayer button, go to the details panel, scroll down to the bottom to the events section, go to on pressed and press plus. This means anytime this input is pressed with the keyboard for confirm inputs, or if we select it with our mouse like a mouse click, we will call this on pressed event. Now what we want to do is open up a level specific to multiplayer. As we progress in the series, we'll probably add more things in here, like changing your game mode or choosing how many players there's going to be. But until we have that, just loading straight into the map is perfectly fine. And of course, we can simply move that logic later as we get more details to fill this out with. If we go back to our content browser here, I want to make a new folder for our maps. Right now, we only have one map in this project. It's in first-person CPP maps, and it is our first-person example map. We can copy that map, so click on it and press Ctrl-C. We can come out of here. I'll go back to my content folder. In here, we have a folder called Levels. In the Levels folder, we just had our main menu level. I'm going to make a new folder inside of the Levels folder. This one is going to be multiplayer maps. You don't have to separate it that way, but I think it's a good way to separate it. It'll just be good to keep things organized because we may have many maps in our game, many single player campaign maps or many multiplayer maps or many other maps. At this point, I'd like to go into my multiplayer maps folder and I'm going to paste that first person example map that I copied. You don't have to copy that map. I am copying this map because my map can basically be the same as a starting point, and then we can customize it to be for multiplayer later. I'll right click and rename this map to just multiplayer map 1. Now if we go into multiplayer map 1, you'll see that it looks exactly the same as our first person example map because we just copied it. Of course, depending on what your game is like, you may or may not want to have enemies in your map. However, one thing we could do is remove the enemies from the level and put players there instead. To do this, we can simply find them in the outliner or click them in the level and just hit backspace or delete to remove them. Once all the enemies, the AI enemies, are removed from the level, we should probably also remove our friendly, which is over here, our ally, as we refer to them. And we can leave things like our ammo and our weapons, because in our multiplayer matches, I could see us picking up ammo and weapons. Some great examples of this are Halo, Apex Legends, Fortnite, Gears of War, and of course, plenty more. If there are power weapons or weapons to be picked up for any type of reason, then we'll want to be able to have weapons there. You could also leave traps if you want. Plenty of games have traps or areas where you can get hurt or hurt other players with, and random objects like our cat here, feel free to keep that. I'm just trying to make it generic enough so that multiple players could play on this map and it would function. We don't have player spawns yet. We were just placing a character in the level, but that's fine. We can work with this. If we just move our character back, this is where we would spawn them. Let's put them in the corner over here. And now simply, if we go and play our game, we'll spawn in the corner. And you'll see that a few things have changed, right? Everything that we changed about the level is different now. And we spawned in this corner instead of in the center of the map. But everything else that we would still want for multiplayer is here. We still have our HUD, our mini-map, our different interactable objects, our weapons, and that's perfect. That's really all I wanted to show. Again, creating this map was just to separate the logic so that we could prepare it for multiple players. So it doesn't have to be perfect right now, but of course, feel free to customize your multiplayer map to your liking. Now you'll see that we have these warnings or errors for lighting needs to be rebuilt. I've covered this in a few of my different series, but whenever you create a new level, you might see this. This is just because we copied the level, but the level has some data that it needs for things like static lighting and reflections. If you want to get rid of these warnings, you can go up here to build up at the top and build lighting only. You can do this in Unreal Engine 4 as well. So UE4, UE5, you may have to allow Swarm Agent. This is perfectly normal. It's part of Epic Games. It's part of building lighting, and you can allow access to the app. Allow the engine to build everything that it requests to build, and those warnings and errors will go away, and your game should actually look a lot nicer as a result of it. If you are to play your game again now, it should look significantly better. You'll see the reflections are working on the weapon a lot nicer, and the overall lighting in the level looks better. So perfect, we have our level for our multiplayer map. I'm going to do one other thing just to make it more obvious that this is our multiplayer map. Something like the texture of the floor here. That way we don't get them mixed up in this tutorial. I'll make it like a gravel ground. And now it's very clear that this is a different level than the campaign level that we have. If we go back to our main menu now, so that's in Levels, Main Menu, and we go back to the Main Menu widget, we have to fill out the behavior here for the on pressed of the multiplayer button. We can basically do the same logic that the campaign button is doing for now, and that's open the level by name, and we'll open our new level. Open level by name. And we need to call it whatever we called our map. I just called it multiplayer map 1. Compile and save this. And if we go into our main menu now and press the multiplayer button, we'll load up our multiplayer map 1. That's all pretty basic stuff. So the next thing that we need to do is make sure that we can spawn multiple characters in our level. And we'll probably want to do this through spawn points, as if we die and we want to respawn, we'll have to determine what spawn points we can go to. This can be an actual Unreal spawn point or player start, or it can be our own custom logic for this. We do already have some respawn behavior for the campaign, but before we get into that, as that will be its own full episode, we can just simply spawn characters or add extra characters to this map. If we go back into our multiplayer map 1 more time, and now we have our base character BP. If we go to the details panel and in the search bar, we look for possess. You'll see that this character is set up to auto-possess player 0, and what that means is if this character is placed in the world, player controller 0, index 0, will automatically possess this character. That's fine for single player instances, but again, in multiplayer scenarios, it gets a little bit more complicated. So while we can copy the base character BP here, and just paste another one in the world outliner, let's say we want to put this character in this corner. Imagine that as our next player start. I can drag this second character that I spawned. Note it's not the same as the one that we're controlling. I bring this character over here. And let me rotate them around 180 degrees in the yaw. There we go. Now this character is in the other corner. So we have two characters here. However, if we search for possess here, we don't want to auto-possess player 0. In fact, we want to disable it, or we want to select player 1. Selecting player 1 is safe here. However, we likely don't have a player controller with index 1 at the current time. So it won't really matter unless we have more than one player controller. This kind of ties back to what I was saying earlier about having multiple spawn points and determining how many players are going to spawn. Once we have that, that would work fine. But for now, if we are to load into our game, you'll see that we spawn here, and there will be a character over in this corner. This is representing the other player. In the next episode, I'll show you how to actually spawn characters that are able to be controlled by the different players by spawning the appropriate number of player controllers and possessing characters with those player controllers. But this is our first step to making a multiplayer scenario, local multiplayer specifically in this case, within our first-person shooter tutorial series. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode on learning about local multiplayer in your game. If you did and you're interested in checking out some more of the channel and supporting the channel, then please subscribe. It does more for myself and the channel than anything else you can do, and I really appreciate it. I also want to give a huge shout out to all my YouTube membership, Patreon, and Discord subscribers. You guys are fantastic, and I appreciate you so much. Thank you for all the love and support. You're all wonderful, and I'm so happy you're enjoying this series. If you ran into any problems with this tutorial or any of my tutorials, feel free to join the Discord community. There's a link in the description, and I would be happy to help you out. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Shawnthebro, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye, guys.